What's up, guys? I am Constant, and today we are going to be talking about PvP rankings. The Great Vault in Shadowlands has tons of people doing arenas for the first time, so let's go ahead and talk about how the different classes stack up against each other. I'd also like to start out this video by thanking all of the gladiators and former gladiators who took time out of their holiday season to discuss the current meta with me for this video. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and check me out on Twitch. Alright, so Arms Warrior is pretty absurd right now. Great survivability, an excellent toolkit, their damage is phenomenal. Their burst is really strong, but their sustained damage is also extremely difficult for a healer to keep up with. Retribution Paladin is broken. If you've spent 5 minutes in any high-tier PvP community in the past few weeks, you have undoubtedly heard complaints about Ret Paladin. Their burst is capable of instant kills, but then they can also get instant kills without their burst up. So that's the thing. I think everyone finds themselves a little bit surprised every Tuesday morning or afternoon when we get back on and nothing has been done about Ret Paladins. But they did just gain access to a new legendary as of today from the new world boss. So it's possible that that could bring about some balance being thrown their way. Windwalker is very strong. I don't know if their damage really classifies as burst. It's more sustained, but it's a strong enough sustained damage that it almost counts as like a light burst at all times. They are very tough to handle at the moment, and there are quite a few people who consider them to be the absolute best DPS spec in PvP overall right now. So their spot in the S tier should come as a surprise to no one. Sub-Rogue is S tier. I'm sorry, Rogues. I know that those nerfs hit you guys really hard, but at the same time, they were absolutely needed. That being said, there are so many sub-rogues who thought that they were good. And then the nerf happened. And then they realized, wait a minute, maybe it wasn't me that was good, maybe it was just sub-rogue. The issue with sub-rogue is, this is kind of what always happens to them. So they get some love from Blizzard, but Blizzard doesn't really know how to love sub-rogue in moderation. They are incredibly strong, and then they get nerfed. And they get nerfed back down to a level where people like Peekaboo can still be absolute god tier no matter what. But people who are playing the flavor of the month spec, they run into a wall very early. And I understand that that has to be very frustrating. But understand that sub-rogue is still very strong. Their main weakness is that if you stay in a little bit longer than you need to, if you don't manage your cooldowns just about perfectly, you're going to get instantly killed. You're going to just about get one shot. Rogues overextending right now, it's going to end in that rogue dying 9 out of 10 times if you are playing a competent team. I understand that it's very frustrating to play Sub-Rogue right now. I understand that those nerfs hit a little bit harder than anyone is giving Sub-Rogue credit for, but Sub-Rogue is still S tier, and it's still great. There is just a much smaller margin for error. Alright, Balanced Druids are right up there with Ret Paladins for a lot of people. They have a very simple rotation. It's capable of putting out instant kills from range while moving. Their mobility is super strong. They're a druid. Mobility is always going to be super strong. Utility is strong. Same thing. And they have excellent defensive options. Same thing. Root Beam is a great way to shut down healers and land a kill, and some view balance as one of the biggest problems with class balance in PvP at the moment. They're kind of like the ranged Ret Paladins. Shadow Priest requires some skill to play effectively. Now, they have great utility with things like Life Swap, Silence, Mind Games is incredible. It does too much damage, in my opinion. I don't think that Mind Games needs to do as much damage as it does to also be so disruptive. But they have great sustained damage, strong survivability, and they're very dangerous to leave alone. They aren't a great initial kill target because of Disperse, but if you don't focus at least on controlling that Shadow Priest, your team is going to have a bad time. Fire Mage has aggressive burst with a fairly simple DPS rotation, but their high level of utility, it can be very demanding. Mage has a very high skill ceiling, and a lot of people have all three specs of Mage as difficult to play. I don't disagree with this necessarily, But right now, to excel as a fire mage, to succeed even into higher brackets as a fire mage, you don't really need to be that good. And this is really because of Combust. Combust allows for easy kill setups. I mean, you have invisibility, that typically allows for easy initial contact on your own terms. And Ice Block, as always, gives a great catch-up period for your healer when the mage ultimately gets focused. Mages have a lot of responsibilities. They are not easy to play in any way. Mage is a very difficult class to play and to master. But most classes are very difficult to master. And right now, it just doesn't take that much from a fire mage to win game. Elemental Shaman, incredible burst. They're pretty tanky. They have self-healing. All hybrids have really good self-healing right now, which is definitely a problem. They have excellent utility. They have a pretty easy rotation as well. Lightning Lasso makes no sense, and the general consensus among elite players is that the easiest comp to ride to Glad right now is Fire Mage Ele Shaman. Now, that's not to say the Elemental Shaman is not difficult to play at a higher rating, but like I said before about Fire Mage, anything is going to obviously be more difficult to play successfully at a higher rating. Just about anything. Maybe not Ret Paladin and Boomkin, but even then, you have to have a much better understanding of how the game works. You have to be able to anticipate other players' actions based on experience. So that is going to be required no matter what class or spec you're playing at a high level of arena. But right now, Ele Shaman and Fire Mage both clap so hard, too hard. And when you pair them together in a threes team, it's pretty difficult to counter. Marksmanship Hunter has a fairly straightforward rotation as well. They have really strong burst, solid utility options, and that their damage can be sustained fairly easily as well. Marks is a very punishing spec. It provides a certain degree of control on some maps simply due to the amount of damage that they can put out if the other team's positioning gets compromised at any point during the match. I'm going to start off this section by saying that everyone should be really appreciative of healers with the way damage output is right now in PvP. It's an extremely difficult time to heal in PvP, especially without getting tilted. There are just so many times where you go in and you have your game plan. You know what you're going to do, but it really doesn't matter when somebody on your team gets globaled. 0.2 seconds, they're dead. It's frustrating. So I may be a healer myself, but all the healers out there, you are appreciated. All right, so let's start things off here with Discipline Priest. Discipline Priests are incredibly strong all around in Shadowlands right now. They're not difficult to pick up, though they do have one of the highest skill ceilings in the game for PvP. I think that they definitely have the highest skill ceiling for healers in PvP. But that being said, they have 2 schools of magic to heal with. They have Shadow Word Death baseline now, Thought Steal. They have the perfect toolkit for arenas. Their damage capabilities, absorptions, Pain Sup, Dark Arc, Mass Dispel, the list goes on and on. Discipline Priests are fantastic right now. Holy Paladin, also really strong, mainly because of their utility and the strength of Holy Shock and Word of Glory. Now, I'm a Holy Paladin main, and I have to say, it feels really good in PvP right now. One of the only ways to counter this burst meta, assuming one of your teammates does not get instantly killed at the start of a match, being able to throw out things like Sack and just completely stop the game. It's very rare to have something like that, and because of that, Holy Paladin is very strong. Resto Shaman is another healer that excels at pretty much everything right now. They're very good in PvP. They have strong utility between their totems, Hex, they have their ranged interrupt, decent survivability. Obviously, Resto Shaman Mastery is great for PvP, but they do require a fair amount of hard casting, and that's why they're at the medium difficulty level. It can be very frustrating trying to get off lengthy heals right now in Arena. It can be difficult for anyone trying to cast anything in arenas right now. So Resto Shaman's exceptional, really, really solid healers, but they can be very frustrating to play at the moment. Now, Resto Druid is great, but it can be more difficult to manage at the moment, as they don't always handle strong bursts of healing well. Their utility is absolutely incredible. They're a druid. They have incredible utility. That's how it is all the time. The thing that a lot of people don't realize, though, is that Resto Druids, because their healing is heal over time dependent, they need this utility to slow down gameplay as much as possible. Resto Druids really have to get out in front of things like stuns, enemy team burst. When they're opening up, a Druid already needs to have rolled hots on, well, their entire team. Resto Druid is a very unforgiving healer to play with the way the burst meta is at the moment. But Resto Druid is still exceptional. They're still great. I would not put them in the S tier. I have them in the A tier. It's really difficult right now as a Resto Druid because you're kind of always playing catch up and you don't have the best catch up mechanics. But if you're a good enough Resto Druid, if you have the foresight to get out in front of hard swaps, big stuns, big burst, you can excel as a Resto Druid right now. Absolutely. Mistweaver can work with the right comp. You need really strong peels for Mistweaver. They have excellent mobility. That's name of the game with monks, but they can get shut down very quickly. Anyone can, but if you're going to run Mistweaver, it's really best with something like a warrior that can intervene. Intervene is really huge right now for Mistweavers. Holy Priest is really interesting at the moment. It feels like all of the pieces are there. They just can't quite compete at the same level as the other healers. Now, things could change a little bit. The new Archbishop Legendary from the World Boss that premiered today, it gives Holy Priest a self-res after Spirit of Redemption expires. So, that could be a game changer. And I think we'll see how that plays out in the next week. It could potentially give Holy Priest a better spot in arenas, but I think that it's also very possible that it just results in every Holy Priest dying twice in every arena. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe and check me out on Twitch. And as always, thanks for watching.